I want to go to the Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line. Always a pleasure to have our good friend from Georgia's 11th Congressional District, Congressman Barry Loudermilk, with us. Congressman, hope you're doing good.
I'm doing well, Todd. How are you doing?
Doing well, Congressman. Let's jump into this. The mayor of Washington, D.C. is very upset. Turns out she doesn't like all these people coming across the city line from places like Texas and Arizona.
Well, she ought to go to the president that she has been unashamedly supporting and talk to him about it, because it's his actions that have caused these consequences. And that's the issue that Democrats fail to acknowledge, is that their actions have consequences. Obviously, she didn't care when they were being dropped off in New York. She didn't care when they were, making their way through Texas or anywhere else in the U.S. But now that they're coming here, this is a big deal. We need to stop this. Well, how about let's just secure the border and then everybody is happy? But they're not going to go that route. Because the Democrats have never made a mistake in their life. Remember that, Todd. They've never made a mistake.
No, of course not. I love what Governor Ducey and Governor Abbott are doing. And quite frankly, what they ought to do is double up and send some of those buses to Delaware and to Nancy Pelosi's district over in San Francisco.
Would you do that, though, is that not cruel and unusual punishment to send them to Nancy Pelosi's? They already have a lot of problems there, but no, I agree with you. But I don't think that would have an impact on Nancy Pelosi, since it appears that when she retires, she's moving to the Republican-led state of Florida, which doesn't have an income tax, and the economy is doing well, and people have some freedom there because of Governor DeSantis. She doesn't even want to go back to San Francisco.
Well, no. Well, who does? I mean, you look at the number of U-Hauls that are coming out of the state of California and moving, to places like Texas and other free states. I mean, we're dealing with the same thing here in Tennessee, where we're getting a lot of these refugees from these blue states. I really hope and pray, Congressman, they leave their politics back home.
Absolutely. It's just like, some of the folks that seek asylum over here. That's fine. If you're coming for freedom, don't bring the ideology that caused you to lose your freedom from your other country. The same thing is when you're coming from the foreign country of California, leave the bad policies behind. Otherwise, you're going to leave this state again, right? So remember why you're moving to these states, because they're run by freedom-loving Americans who believe in individual freedoms and liberties. And there is something that it's okay to believe in, which is American exceptionalism.
Congressman, I know that you represent a lot of they call them bedroom communities, a lot of commuters that in the Atlanta suburbs who drive in. So people in the Atlanta area, you're in your car a lot. And I have to imagine probably more so than any other place in the country, you guys are getting pounded by these high gas prices out there.
Oh, absolutely. Now, one thing in Georgia that the governor did is he suspended the state transportation tax that was on fuel. Now, we could afford to do that in Georgia because the economy was doing so well that our transportation funds, we had some surplus there because the governor opened up the state instead of shutting the whole thing down during COVID. So we have the flexibility to do that. And so he has suspended it. So as the traveling I do, I see Georgia has some of the lowest gas prices, which are still ridiculously high. But we're also seeing, Georgia is a pass-through for a lot of people heading down to Florida for their vacations. And from what I'm hearing is we are seeing lower than expected amounts of people traveling through the state, because I think people are curtailing their travel because of the high gas prices. And so they're especially doing their summer vacation travel is they're cutting back. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you've seen this short-term drop in stabilization in fuel prices, is because the fuel industry was gearing up for the summer travel times, and it just hasn't been there to the level they expected.
And one of the things I appreciate you pointing out here is not just, ending the Keystone Pipeline, pulling the plug on that, but you've got these Democrats that are going after offshore drilling in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, this is a very dangerous game the Democrats are playing.
They are, and they've actually included some provisions in the appropriations bills that will be brought up this week. And so it's there's an old adage that when you're in the hole, quit digging.
Yeah.
But they just keep digging. It's like, oh, we're going to fix this by reducing more American oil production. Todd, since I've been in Congress, we became energy independent. And it was actually during the Obama administration. Republicans in Congress ended a 40-year ban on exportation of U.S. oil. I was surprised to find out that we were the largest producer of oil in the world. We had the capacity to do that, even greater than OPEC. So we passed a bill that forced Obama to sign it that ended the ban on exporting U.S. oil. Literally within weeks, we became the world's largest exporter of oil, which meant that OPEC no longer controlled the international price of oil. Everyone quit hearing about OPEC until Biden came into office. And what does he do? He shuts down our domestic production, and now he's going over to OPEC countries to ask them to help us with their fuel prices. It makes no sense what these folks are doing, and then they just double down to try to make it worse.
Unbelievable. Congressman Barry Loudermilk on the Patriot Mobile Newsmaker line. Congressman, we saw President Biden coming off of this trip to the Middle East. It was a gaff Olympics over there. We had Congressman Ronnie Jackson on just a little while ago. He's very concerned about the president's medical condition, and has been very outspoken about that. I'm just curious, are people talking about that even among Democrats on Capitol Hill now?
You're hearing some rumblings on it, but what's hard to understand is this guy's been gaffing for 40-something years since he's been in public office. But now it's like some of the gaffes are incoherent. So that's what the concern is. I mean, he's been saying off the cuff, making bad remarks for a long time. But when he is standing before a teleprompter and it gives instructions on the teleprompter and he reads the instructions like it's part of the speech, like repeat the line as he did recently, there's something going on cognitively that has to be looked at. The problem that the Democrats have, or really is the same problem we would have, is if they executed the 25th Amendment because he's unfit for office mentally, what do we get? We get probably something worse than Biden, and they realize that even Kamala Harris's polling numbers are dismal. They're even worse than Joe Biden's, and so they're kind of in a catch-22.
Congressman, we're going to leave it there. Appreciate the great info, and hope you're staying cool this summer.
We are trying. I tell you what, I probably spent more in utilities in electric costs, keeping the air conditioner going. And of course, guess what? What we use to actually produce most of the electricity in this nation? Fossil fuels. So, Americans need to put two and two together. When the cost of gas goes up, the cost of electricity goes up too. So how's that for all the electric vehicles out there?
That's it. All right, Congressman Barry Loudermilk from the great 11th Congressional District in Georgia. Congressman, thank you.